So it's 7 o'clock. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. I wish that we could do this all in person, but to be honest, this is so much easier. I don't know if you've been to my openings in the past, I used to always bring lots of wine and food, and I would end up rearranging this whole studio. I would pull all the fixtures out of here and put them up there, and this year actually I had planned to have it be very open anyway, so that's good. And I haven't had to lug a bunch of ice in, and we can just get down to it. So I'm James Frederick, and this is Frederick Studio Provincetown. I am coming to you live on the Facebook feed from Provincetown, and we have had a bit of change since the last time that we got together this way. The governor had moved us into phase 2 since then of our reopening, and that basically meant that restaurants could serve food outside and that retail, which is what galleries are included in, could open with a limited capacity, masks required, distancing as much as possible, a regimen of disinfecting and sanitizing. And if you don't have running water, you have to make sanitizing available for people throughout the space. And I've done that. I have sanitizer stations at 2 or 3 locations where people might want to go through comic books or some of my other things. But it's been crazy. For me personally, it felt like, no one in here for 3 months, and then suddenly people are coming in. And I don't know if this is happening where you're living, but people do not know how to wear masks. They're wearing them under their nose, they're not tying them down, and I'm being pretty rigid about it. I'm asking people to, cover their nose, to, just try to keep all of those droplets to themselves, and I'm keeping mine to me, so I'm wearing a mask the whole time. And that's the other thing that sucks, is wearing a mask for extended periods of time, but it gives me an appreciation for all of those frontline workers that have been dealing with it for a while. So out on the street here, it's getting busier and busier. There is a mask ordinance required on Commercial Street from Bank Street to Pleasant, I think, between 9 and 9, and then per the governor's orders and the state requirements, masks have to be worn anytime that social distancing can't be achieved. So that's where we are with all of that here. It's a little frightening. For the most part, people are kind of obeying and trying to be safe. And then there's the occasional people who are really just here to party. And, that's, I think, what's going to happen. So I just wanted to give you a couple heads up about my upcoming openings. On July 3rd, I had planned, and you probably saw this in my schedule, to do my annual exhibition of comics. I put comics all over the walls, and everyone comes in, and then I usually launch a new book. And my new book this year is called That's Nuts, and it was going to also serve as the launch party for that book. But I've canceled that event because the idea of taking you through and to read comics on the wall doesn't seem to kind of work in this format, and I'm not going to be able to have a launch party when I can only have 2 people in here. So, I know that 3 people make a party, but I was hoping to have a few more than 3. So that one is not going to happen. But then if you remember on the schedule, and I've actually updated it on my website now, that the following one is on July 10th, and that is Vivid Tranquility. And that's Vivid Tranquility 3, because it's the 3rd installment of kind of a large body of work that I've done that dabbles between abstract and representational and kind of this referential space. So I'm excited to share with you that work on July 10th, and that'll be the next one. If this town keeps getting busy and there's a lot of noise happening during this kind of broadcast or live stream, then I may have to switch it up a little time-wise, or maybe pre-record, I'm not sure, but we'll see how this goes. Pardon me. So just like last time, I just kind of want this to be a conversation. I am trying to watch the comments, and I'm kind of getting used to the backwards thing. I've done this a couple times since then, so it's becoming a little more familiar. So I'm James Frederick. I work and live here in Provincetown. I'm a painter and illustrator and a cartoonist. I come from a family of artists and painted and was drawing my entire life, working a lot of years as an interior designer. Until moving to Provincetown, most of my painting was abstract, really just playing with emotion and colors and shapes. And then after moving here, I started to paint much more representationally. In fact, people were so used to me being more in that representational area that when I started to paint, like 3 years ago or so, I started to revert back to my roots of more abstract painting. People were like, "What's this? Is this new?" And it's not new, but it was new to them. So abstract painting for me is this work that you're about to see, it's called Apart, and it's mostly all abstract. But for me, abstract is when I'm painting from like a mind space, an emotion. A lot of times I sit back like in my mind's eye and think about a particular experience or something that happened, maybe where I was at that time, maybe a moment of joy, a moment of pain. And for me, being a very visual person, it conjures up color and it conjures up shape and contrast and composition. And those are the things that come to life in my abstract work. They typically evoke an emotion from the viewer as much as it did for me when I painted the work. But it's best, I think, if it's not overly described. So like the last time I took you through the work, I talked a lot about the subject matter and remember that day I dove into the harbor or whatever. And in this case, I think less is more. So I will just tell you that it was all painted kind of with this backdrop of living with this pandemic. It's called Apart because we were kind of forced into this distancing from everyone. And this place where we wanted contact, but we were afraid to have contact, that we had a memory of ease, but we were living with disease. And, for me, it was a very cathartic body of work to paint because it helped me organize kind of what was going on. And I think that there's a lot of contrast between that kind of pain and pleasure and memory and recall of like better times to kind of what was happening in the present, and it's still happening. And you'll notice, and this is all I'll say about kind of the visual cues with the work, but I was thinking a lot about cocoon and insulation and protection, and as well as distance. And I was also thinking about how life as I know it is kind of a rhythm of things, and it stopped. There were points where it mutated into some other form or changed entirely. And I think that disruption is also something that comes to life. I also feel like we all, or at least I did, I had a tendency of really looking at metrics. It was like what's the stock market doing? How many cases are there? And how many deaths? How many lives? It's just like, it was a lot, and still is, but it's like you'll see some of that come to life in these works. So I have 10 pieces to share with you, and 3 of them, the frames did not arrive, so they're unframed, but they will be framed like the other ones. So I'm presenting them without frames, and I kind of didn't want to do that, but it's fine. So I did make some notes on a cue card that are attached to this tripod in case you're wondering why I keep looking down. But I have some notes. I just want to make sure that I talked about the things that I wanted to talk about. I think that's it. So I'm going to flip this camera around and we're going to start to look at the work. I don't know, I don't see any questions, but let's do that. All right, and it's still the wobbly tripod, so if this continues to go well, I will invest in something a little better. All right. So I'm hoping that you guys can get a good view of that. If I stand in the picture, it changes the lighting, and so it's kind of hard for you to take it in. But this piece is the beginning of the show, and it's 24 by 24. I call it Suspended Activity. And it's in this German silver floating frame. So one of the things about abstract work is that the title sometimes provides a clue to what the artist is seeing. But again, it's important for you to have your own takeaways. So it's Suspended Activity. So just to jump in here, I did upload all this work to my website, and I put in the description a link that you can click on so that you can go directly to the painting tab of my website, see all the specifics, and then there's a link there to check out if you would be interested. So this one is called Suspended Activity, and I don't know if there's any questions that have popped up. I'm just going to scroll through really quickly. I don't think so. It's just telling me who's all there. Hey everyone, thank you for coming. So I'm going to move this on, if everyone's had a good view of this one, to the next piece, which is called Drawn Away. And I went too far, or I didn't go far enough. Let's see here. There we go. So this one is called Drawn Away. It's the same size. It's 24 by 24, much more vivid. And it's acrylic on canvas. The same German silver metal frame, which has a really lovely profile. I might be able to come in here so that you can see that. Profile of the frame. Probably see it best in the piece beyond. So that piece is called Drawn Away. And you probably have a sense of where I was going with that one. So the next piece is called Broken Melody. And this is the piece that I used to actually promote the show. It's a little more animated with elements. I'm not sure if you can see this. Marked are the lines, struggles, what? Struggles? Squiggles? So the line work is something I do a lot of times with ink or with pastel, and in this case it's actually done with paint. It's acrylic, and it's layered on top of a painted background after it dries. And in this case, they represent a journey. But no, they're not words. So that one is Broken Melody. And it's 18 by 18, and it's in the same German silver metal floating frame. And it has a companion piece, which is sold separately. It is not required to go with the other, but this one is called Something Between Us. And you can see that the background kind of travels from one piece to the other. And some of the elements are a little more expressed in this one. Can you zoom in a little closer? What I can do, Natalie, I think, is just move this camera closer unfortunately. If you go to my website, you'll be able to, I think, zoom in on that fairly well. Hopefully that helped. There's a lot of texture in the background of these. I've been doing a technique where I use a paintbrush much like a palette knife, where I pull paint, and depending on the substrate, it gives me a really nice tooth to create a little texture. Perfect, great, thanks Natalie. So that was also the same size, 18 by 18 with the frame. I think I may have mentioned that. Now there's a much larger piece, so I'm going to back up a little here. And hopefully you can see that full piece. Yeah, so that's 30 by 30. A lot of color in this one. This one is called Crave. And it's 30 by 30. It's on a thicker canvas, and it's got a beautiful ebonized walnut, or no, I'm sorry, it's ebonized mahogany frame. Maybe it's walnut, I don't know. It's a beautiful frame. It's walnut or mahogany, I have to look it up. But I love the profile of it, and I love how it frames out this piece in particular. So this one's called Crave. It's 30 by 30. You can see it has some of the same visual language, but very different feeling than some of the rest. And not to give you too much insight, but it really is at a point where I kind of worked through a lot of the differences in life because of this, and the brightness of kind of self-care and love comes a little bit more to the surface here. So, all right, I'm gonna keep going unless you guys say stop. Let me see what's going on here. Hey, David. All right, I'm moving on down. This is gonna be quicker than when I did 15 pieces. So this is 2 pieces, and they are stacked. It's kind of difficult to see. Didn't realize that. The top piece, I'll just angle this, is it's called Unraveled, and it's got I can zoom this. This is pretty good. It's called Unraveled, and it's 12 by 12. It's in a black wood floating frame, and it's got multiple layers. Unraveled. And this lower piece, if I can do that, is called Extend. It's the same size. It's kind of the yin of the yang, if you will. It's much more kind of red and vibrant, where the other one had a little bit more kind of blue tones. I love the color in this one. But it's called Extend. And for me, well, I don't want to give you too much information, but it was definitely about the reach, to connect. So, hey, Mary Ellen. So let's see if I can zoom back out. Yes. Oh, I didn't even know I could do that. The things you learn. All right. So now you guys get to go on a wobbly ride back to where I started, because I've got 3, like I was telling you, that I don't have frames for yet, but I will have the German silver metal frames for these pieces. And I gotta get quite close here. They're smaller, they're 10 by 10. And this is the first one. It's called Nearness. And I'm hoping you can see that. I can't ever tell. All right. And then we have this piece, which I call Apart. So this is really kind of the namesake, actually, of the show. Is this working? Yes. So this one's apart. Seeing a lot of hearts popping up. That's cool. So that was nearness, the first one, apart. And now this one is called avoidance. So really just kind of three different aspects of the kind of physical proximity. And that's the show. That's the 10 pieces. So I'm going to swing this back around. So it didn't take as long, obviously. Can't figure this out. So I'm not sure if there are any questions or if we want to do it that way. If I step back a little, I don't have to crouch. So any comments that I might have missed that I can answer? Let me look. Different names for pieces. Yes, so they're very different. Okay, I think I might have caught them all. So that's apart. And my latest works in abstract. Again, the next show will be called Vivid Tranquility, and it's, again, where I dabble into a more referential world. So meaning that it's still a very abstracted image, but you get more of a sense of what it is. And Vivid Tranquility is all about the beauty of Cape Cod and how it's so vivid but so tranquil. Vivid Tranquility. But it's got this bold serenity, and to really play that up. So you really get a sense of water and sky and of the Cape, but it is, again, abstracted quite a bit. So that's on July 10th. And one other thing I wanted to do was I wanted to give a little plug to, let's see what's going on here. This is the wonderful world of Color Me P-Town over here. And let's see if you can see. This is the P-Town Gallery Stroll. So at ptowngallerystroll.com, a bunch of galleries here in town, along with me. We all got together, thanks to the encouragement of the Provincetown Commons, and have banded together to talk about what we're doing in light of this pandemic and have people have a way to stroll through all of our galleries, but do it virtually. So if you go to ptowngallerystroll.com, you can see each week an entire new stroll, one piece, and perhaps a video from over 30 galleries. And each week we're doing this very regularly, and we're just putting up new work. So this week it launched at 5 o'clock on Friday, and it will do that each Friday. If you go on and scroll down to Frederick Studio Provincetown, you will see Broken Melody, because that's kind of the key piece that I'm showing this week. So each gallery will do that, and you'll be able to see what's really happening in Provincetown. If you happen to be here, you can pull up that site on your phone, and you can actually navigate the galleries by map on the map tab. So it's been really great. Greg Salvatore, who has a gallery right next door to me, really is the mastermind, the webmaster behind all of this, and continues to spend a lot of his time helping all of us. So really our hats off to Greg. He's here in Whalers Wharf too, and Studio Lancôme is on the first floor here too now. Gaston moved down, and Tom Johnson Photo Gallery is here, and upstairs is Silver Glass Art Gallery on the second floor near Ross's Grill. And so if you come to Provincetown, come to Whalers Wharf, because there's a lot of art here now. And I think that's all I have. So thanks everyone for joining. I'll read through this later and make sure I answer everything, and everyone stay safe. And I'm sure I forgot a million things, but until next time. Oh, you know what? Here's a great idea. I wanted to ask, I'm getting more used to this live thing, and I'm just wondering if I would do like any live work at the easel or at the drawing table as an event, if anyone would be interested in joining. I would be making a mess and it would just be maybe fun. I don't know. But maybe that would be another way that I can come to you, since a lot of you can't come to me. So think that over. If you like the idea, put something in the comments. And everyone, thank you so much for your support and for tuning in. Good night.